Lawyers. What's the wildest loophole you've seen exploited in a courtroom that succeeded? During my second year of law school, I racked up a decent pile of parking tickets, 10, all from the same street just behind the school. It was a quiet residential stretch that wrapped around the backside of campus, and I wasn't the only student who parked there. Everyone did. But it had these faded old signs that said 2-hour parking, 8 a.m., 6 p.m., and campus security loved to remind us we weren't exempt just because we were students. Thing was, the street didn't belong to the campus. And more importantly, it technically wasn't even in the same city district anymore. A friend of mine in city planning casually mentioned that during some bureaucratic reshuffling a few years back, the neighborhood boundaries were redrawn. The line between two districts had moved about 3 blocks east, and that street, Winchester Ave, was now officially in District 9, not District 5 like most of campus. And District 9, unlike 5, didn't impose any parking time limits unless explicitly posted by updated ordinance. So I started digging. I went to the district zoning office and requested the most recent maps. I cross-checked them against the city's public traffic code. I even filed a Freedom of Information Act request to get the maintenance logs on sign updates, just to see if anyone had formally redesignated that stretch of road. They hadn't. Turns out the signs were installed long before the district boundaries moved, and no one ever bothered to take them down. They were obsolete, legally meaningless. But that didn't stop the city from issuing tickets, because the signs were still there. So was the meter maid, every weekday morning like clockwork. And because 99% of the people ticketed didn't know the signs weren't enforceable anymore, they just paid. I fought every single one of my tickets, requested a formal hearing. The hearing was held in this cramped little city courtroom. No judge, just a hearing officer, a retired attorney in a city-issued blazer with a coffee stain on the lapel. The guy looked annoyed before I even said a word. He started with, "So you've accumulated quite a number of citations." I said, "Yes, and none of them are legally valid." He sighed. "And why do you believe that?" I laid it all out. I brought maps, copies of the district codes, a timeline of when the boundaries were changed. I had the maintenance logs, the ordinance references. I even highlighted where the city's own database listed the street as under District 9 jurisdiction, and how District 9 had no standing ordinance matching those signs. The guy listened, flipping through my paperwork like he couldn't believe I'd gone this far over some parking tickets. He said, "The city enforces based on posted signage. If the sign says no parking, that's what's enforced." I asked, even if the signs aren't lawful, if they were never authorized in the current district? He said something like, "The officers aren't lawyers. They don't read district maps." So I said, "If I walk over to your neighborhood and put up a fake no parking sign in front of your house, will they start issuing tickets too? Because by your logic, the sign alone is all that matters." He paused. I waited. He didn't say anything for a solid 10 seconds, then said, "That's a clever interpretation." I said, "It's not interpretation. It's the law." He closed my file, rubbed his temples, and said, "All right, tickets dismissed. Don't come back." That was it. No fanfare, just quietly tossed. Word got around campus fast after that. Other students started challenging their tickets with varying degrees of success. Some of them didn't have the paperwork, so they still lost. But the city eventually stopped writing citations on that street altogether, and about 6 months later, the signs were taken down completely. The part that stuck with me wasn't even the win. It was how the school handled it. We'd been told, over and over, that if we needed to park during exams, we could get a temporary dispensation from campus security. But the catch was those dispensations only extended parking by 1 hour. And most final exams were 3 hours long, while the signs on Winchester said 2-hour max. So during finals week, they would still ticket people with dispensations unless you ran out mid-exam and moved your car. Professors used to joke about strategic bathroom breaks, so you could go repark without it counting as abandoning your exam. They were knowingly enforcing a non-existent restriction, not even for money, but for the illusion of order. It was a weird lesson to learn that early. The rules aren't always the rules. Sometimes they're just theater, and if no one calls it out, it keeps playing.